everyone. Today we'll be presenting some passage from A Tale of Two Cities. I will explain plot summary, vocabulary, literature technique, and discussion question. Let's begin. Plot summary. In this scene, John Bussard appears as a witness in Charles Donnell's trial. John Bussard is presented as a royal patriot and an honest gentleman by Mr. Solidity General. Word expression. There are several important expressions in this passage. First, Mr. Solidity General refers to a government lawyer who questions the witness. Second, bosom means a person's heart or inner feelings. Third, burden means a heavy responsibility or concern. When Dickens writes about Bussard relieves his noble bosom of his burden, he is pretending that Bussard is nobly telling the truth. Literature technique. The most important literature technique in this passage is verbal irony. The narrator describes Bussard as having a pure soul and a noble bosom. He used exaggerated compliment to mock him. This creates verbal irony and satirization, both Bussard and the justice system. Another technique is characterization through dialogue. Dickens does not directly tell us that Bussard is unreliable. Instead, the repeated question exposes his contradiction. Manipulation. I choose manipulation because John Bussard tried to influence the court by pretending himself as an honest and patriotic man, even though his testimony may not be trustworthy. Criticism. I choose criticism because Dickens used irony and cross-examination to criticize dishonest witness and the weakness of the legal system.
I will introduce the passage about the cross-examination of John Bussard in A Tale of Two Cities. This is my table of contents. In this scene, Charles Durney is on trial for treason. John Bussard appears as an important witness for the prosecution. However, Durney's defense lawyer examines him and asks many questions about his past. As the questioning continues, Bussard's suspicious background and contradictory answers are revealed. Because of this, the jury begins to doubt whether he is a trustworthy witness. First, I would like to introduce some important expressions from the passage. The first expression is insinuation, which means an indirect accusation or suggestion, which means 암시 in Korean. And the second is debtor's prison, a prison for people who could not pay their debts. The third is distant relation, which means a far off relative. The fourth is of his own accord, meaning by one's own choice or voluntary. Finally, patriotism means love and loyalty toward one's country, which means 애국심 in Korean. Dickens uses a series of short questions and answers throughout this passage. For example, the lawyer repeatedly asks questions such as never and how many times. This structure creates tension and makes the scene feel like a real courtroom interrogation. It also helps reveal contradiction in Bussard's testimony. For literary technique, I choose repetition in questioning. The lawyer repeatedly asks similar questions to pressure Bussard. At first, Bussard denies many accusations, but as the questioning continues, he begins to change his answers and admit some facts. This repetition increases tension and gradually exposes the truth. It also makes readers question Bussard's credibility. The first theme is truth. Although Bussard tries to hide parts of his past, the truth gradually comes out through careful questioning. The second theme is deception. In this sentence, deception means 기만 in Korean. Bussard presents himself as an honest and patriotic witness, but his inconsistent answers suggest that he is not completely trustworthy. Through this contrast, Dickens shows that appearances can be very different from reality.
I'll progress my presentation by this order. First, I'll summarize the chapter of A Tale of Two Cities. In this passage, Sidney Carton, the defensive lawyer, cross-examines John Bassard. Carton asks a series of short and direct questions about Bassard's personal life, his relationship with Charles Dannay, and his reasons for giving evidence. Bassard repeatedly denies accusations that he is dishonest, lives by gambling, borrows money without repaying it, or works for the government to trap people. He also insists that his testimony is motivated only by patriotism. Through this questioning, Carton tries to weaken Bassard's credibility and make the jury doubt whether he is a trustworthy witness. Then I'll introduce about words and expressions shown at this passage. First expression is cheating at play. It means cheating while gambling or playing games for money. Next word is intimacy. This word means a close relationship or friendship. In Korean, a 친밀함. Third word is procure. Its meaning is to obtain or acquire. It is called 구하다, 입수하다. Other expression in this passage is lay traps, which means to deceive or secretively catch someone. Another word I found is patriotism, love and loyalty toward one's country. It is called 애국심 in Korea. Last word is sheer, which means complete or pure, 순전한. Next, I'll explain about grammar and sentence structure in this passage. First is about grammar. Charles Dickens used elliptical sentences, to other words, sentence fragments. It means many questions submit subject and auxiliary verbs. This creates a rapid and aggressive style of questioning, similar to a real courtroom cross-examination. Second, the passage contains many yes or no questions. This creates a rapid and aggressive style of questioning, similar to a real courtroom cross-examination. And Charles Dickens also used negative questions like, was not this intimacy with the prisoner and had not procured them himself? Negative questions suggest doubt and imply that the speaker expects the answer to be yes. Next, there are parallel structure too. The repeated structure creates rhythm and emphasizes Carton's attack on Bassard's character. Now there are some of literature structure too. One of them is dialogue. Dickens uses dialogue instead of narration to reveal information. Dialogue is a conversation between characters that help reveal information, develop characters, and move the plot forward. Readers learn about Bassard's character directly through his responses. Another literature structure is characterization. Characterization is the method an author uses to reveal a character's personality, motives, and traits. Bassard is characterized as suspicious and possibly dishonest. Although he denies every accusation, the large number of questions makes readers doubt him. Next, the passage is written with irony. Irony occurs when there is a contrast between what is said and what the audience believes to be true. Bassard repeatedly claims that his only motive is patriotism. The audience suspects that his testimony may actually be motivated by money or self-interest, creating irony. Last, repetition is also used. Repetition is the repeated use of words, phrases, or sentence patterns to emphasize an idea. The repetition highlights Bassard's constant denials and makes his answers sound defensive. This passage shows Sidney Carton's skill as a lawyer and raises doubts about John Bassard's honesty. Through sharp questioning, repetition, and irony, Dickens builds tension and encourages readers to question the reliability of the witness. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone. Today I will be presenting a part of Charles Dickens' novel, A Tale of Two Cities. In my part, the second witness, Roger Clive, appears new, and the lawyer tries to disprove his credibility. My presentation will cover 4 main points: the plot summary, dialogue meaning, the literary techniques used by Dickens, and finally the conclusion. Let's begin with the plot summary. This scene takes place during Charles Darnay's trial. Darnay is accused of treason against England. During the trial, witnesses testify against him. Who I am gonna introduce is Roger Clive, the second witness, who claims that Darnay is guilty. At first, Roger Clive appears to be an honest and loyal servant. However, as he gives his testimony, readers begin to notice several suspicious details. Dickens carefully includes these details to make readers question whether Clive is truly trustworthy. Now let's look at the meaning behind Roger Clive's testimony. First, Clive says that he had seen similar lists in Darnay's pockets over and over again. This statement suggests that he repeatedly searched or looked through Darnay's belongings. His actions seems less like ordinary service and more like surveillance. This makes readers wonder about his true intentions. Second, Clive claims that he informed the authorities because he loved his country and could not remain silent. He repeatedly presents himself as a patriot. However, Dickens encourages readers to question this explanation. The more Clive insists on his patriotism, the less convincing he seems. Third, Clive admits that he has known the previous witness, John Bassard, for 7 or 8 years. This is important because it suggests that their testimonies may not be completely independent. Readers may begin to question whether the two witnesses are working together. And fourth, Clive unexpectedly brings up accusations that he had stolen a mustard pot and mentions that he had never been suspected of stealing a silver teapot. No one asked him about these incidents. By trying to defend himself before anyone accuses him, he actually makes himself seem more suspicious. This raises further doubts about his credibility. And finally, Clive says that true patriotism was his only motive. However, by this point, readers already know that he searched Darnay's pockets, looked through his desk, had connections with Bassard, and had a questionable past. As a result, Dickens gradually weakens Roger Clive's credibility and encourages readers to question whether he is truly a patriotic witness or simply a hypocrite. Next, I would like to discuss the literary techniques used in this passage. The first technique is irony. Irony occurs when reality is different from what is expected or what is stated. Dickens describes Roger Clive as a virtuous servant, but his actions and testimony make him appear suspicious and unreliable instead. This contrast causes readers to doubt his character. And the second technique is satire. Satire is used to criticize people, institutions, or society through irony and exaggeration. In this passage, both Roger Clive and John Bassard repeatedly claim that they are acting out of patriotism. Through these characters, Dickens criticized a justice system that relies on questionable witnesses while presenting them as loyal citizens. To conclude, I can explain the Roger Clyde's characteristics by this picture. Roger Clyde appears to be a loyal and patriotic witness on the surface. However, a closer examination of his testimony reveals many inconsistencies and suspicious details. Through irony and satire, Dickens encourages readers to question Clyde's credibility and to think critically about the fairness of the justice system. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, as the final presenter, I will be covering the last part of our group presentation on A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. My presentation is structured into 6 parts: summary, words and expressions, grammar and sentence structure, literary technique, themes, finally a key quote. Let's get started. In this passage, Mr. Jarvis Rory is called to the witness stand during the treason trial of Charles Denny. The Attorney General questions him about 2 key events: a mail coach journey from London to Dover in November 1775 and a later voyage from Calais back to England. However, Rory can't confirm whether Denny was one of the passengers, because it was dark and everyone was heavily lapped up. At the end, he mentions traveling with 2 companions, hinting at Miss Manette as the next witness. Now let's look at some keywords and expressions. Timorous means fearful or easily frightened. It 겁많은, 소심한 in Korean. Counterfeit means fake or false. It's 가짜, 위조 in Korean. Alight means to get off the vehicle. Vehicle. Undertake means to confirm or guarantee something. Alight is 내리다 in Korean. And Rory repeatedly say he cannot undertake to say, meaning he refuses to make a firm statement. Finally, untimely means at an odd or unexpected hour. It means 때일은, 이상한 시간에 in Korean. The lawyer uses this word to make Danny's midnight birding sound suspicious. The most noticeable feature is the repeated question and answer format. The Attorney General fires sharp questions one after another, building tension and creating a realistic court atmosphere. The lawyer also gradually tightens his questions to corner Mr. Rory. Another key structure is the use of negative questions. For example, you will not swear, Mr. Rory, that he was not one of them. This kind of question forces the witness into a corner and shows how the courts manipulate even honest, neutral judgments. Dickens used 2 main literary techniques in this passage. First, he used dialogue over narration. Almost the entire passage is written as direct conversation with very little description, which makes the reader feel as if they are actually sitting inside the court. Second, there is irony. When the lawyer says, "Never mind about happening, Mr. Rory," he dismisses Rory's careful and neutral wording. And twist is to sound suspicious, highlighting how the legal system can manipulate the truth. There are 2 major themes in this passage. The first is justice. The court scene reveals serious flaws in the legal system. The evidence against Danny is extremely weak, yet the trial continues, making us question what justice truly means. The second theme is deception. The Attorney General never lies directly but uses clever leading questions to create a false impression. Laurie's honest uncertainty is twisted into what sounds like indirect confirmation, showing that deception doesn't always look like lying. Finally, the key quote of this passage is, I cannot undertake to say even that. Rory repeats this kind of phrase throughout the entire cross-examination. No matter how hard the lawyer pushes, Rory simply can't confirm what he does not know. And this repeated uncertainty actually weakens the prosecution's case. This quote perfectly captures the tension between legal pressure and personal honesty in this passage. And the last thing I learned in preparing for this presentation is that courts are not always looking for truth.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Good job.